I am currently in the Philippines, and I want to show you back 4 years ago I did a little video. I did a couple of videos about tile in the Philippines, but I want to show this shower because it's kind of cool, but also I got some things to say about it. I'm not going to get too much into the critique of the tile itself necessarily, because it is what it is. I think this hotel is probably pushing about the 20-year mark. So yes, the grout lines are kind of dirty and all that stuff, but they did a pretty good job of lining everything up. And this is the old style 12 by 12 that we're not doing anymore, which we wish we were. We didn't know it was easy back then, but now we don't. Now we know. The Vanity is okay. I like it. It is not faux marble. It's actually marble, which is okay. It doesn't have a vessel sink. I don't like vessel sinks. I really don't. They're difficult to shave in and get enough water and all that stuff. I do like this drain. I think I showed it on the video back 4 years ago too. This little stopper here. It's not always easiest to work because it does have this rubber gasket that probably needs some grease once in a while, but it does work. It works good. So yeah, it's a nice vanity area. I like it. It's kind of the high end of hotels, although in the Philippines everything's kind of subjective on what you pay. A couple of things about this glass which I do like. I like that it has a stop on it because it doesn't come both ways, because I guess it hit the other door. Shower glass, from first-hand experience, I'm going to tell you, mucks up with hard water, especially with hard water, and it will do it with soft water too. And so if you see up here, it's kind of clear, and then it gets foggier as you go down here where all the water hits it all the time, and soap residue and stuff like that. The way that I found out to get rid of all that stuff is like 1 part of all things toilet bowl cleaner, because it's acidic, but then you dilute that. So if you had like a spray bottle, you would probably have about that much, a normal spray bottle, maybe about that much of toilet bowl cleaner, and then the rest of it with water. You spray it down and you get the highest grit possible of what's it called? Steel wool. Couldn't think of it. So the highest grit possible, and I think it's 600 or 800 or something like that. Anyway, the highest grit possible of steel wool. So you spray this down, you let it stand for 15-20 minutes, and then you just scrub that steel wool where you've hit all that toilet bowl cleaner, and then rinse off, and it makes it like it's new, like that. Yeah, I found that out on YouTube University. Yes, I did, and it does work. So they really need to do that once in a while, because this kind of looks mucky. It looks like a smoke glass, or like, I don't know. It just kind of degrades the whole shower, in my opinion. So this is a drop-down curb. I'm going to call it a drop-down curb. It is a curbless shower, yes, but it's a drop down. And so the last time I did one of these, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, this Australian people, well, they're from Australia, and apparently this is the way that it's done there, except that mine was upstairs. I didn't have a concrete slab, and what they wanted is like they have at home. So it was completely flush as you walked into the shower, and then incrementally it went down, 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 to where at the very end of the shower down that end, you had probably about, 1.5 to 2 inch drop. And then here was kind of flush-ish. And then I had a linear drain down at the end. And then because I asked him, I was like, how do I finish out this drop down? Oh, put a piece of Schluter there. Oh, genius. And the Schluter started from here all the way down to there. So I do like the idea of this kind of drop down thing. It would be a little bit more difficult starting from concrete, because you'd have to cut out a lot more concrete than what would be necessary. A couple of things here. It's just a symmetrical thing. I don't like that the drain isn't center of everything else. I really don't. It just throws me slightly. Yeah, I'm going to say it like that. So not too much critique there. What else? So this mosaic, they didn't quite know how to do correctly, it's got some lippage on it. Because a mosaic is almost never, ever, ever the same size as your field tile. And even if it is, there's gonna be more thin set on the field tile than you ever would put on here. So you have to bump this out with some backer board, and they're not gonna sell backer board here, but there's still a way that they could have screed it out. They could have made themselves a little, like a cutout, a piece of cardboard or piece of wood or something like that with a little indentation, and then screed it out some mortar or some thin set along here, and then put these in flush, if that makes sense. So it could have worked, but it is a hotel, so I'm not going to give them a really, really hard time, but there's quite a bit of lippage. This actually sticks out. Ooh, that's really bad. This actually sticks out further than the field tile. But you know, from aesthetic point of view, if you're, if you're not in here critiquing it like every tile guy does, it doesn't look too bad. They have a little niche here. They didn't bother trimming it out, which, you know, is okay. This is field tile, part of the field tile with a factory edge on here. And of course a factory edge along here and around the top. So it's not too bad. I would rather have a niche, as I mentioned, I think, in another shower recently that I critiqued. I would rather have a niche than I would some type of shelf over here, you know, like a standalone shelf or a hanging type of thing. So I do like the niche, it's just too small for most people. For me, perfect. The niche really should be over here. So getting to this large format tile, very, very nicely done. I don't know quite how they, well, obviously it's rectified, but look at how close this grout line is. This is like, I'm gonna say a 16th, but probably a 32nd. Like, it's really hard to tell. At first I thought it was panels, and then I'm like, no, this isn't panels, I can feel the grout lines. But they are so, so tiny, just so, so tiny. Here we get into about 16th, but most of this is like, can you imagine like not having the tile perfectly rectified, getting into this, you know, maybe first couple of rows of tile, getting it really, really close like that, really, really close, it's just so close. And then finding out by the third or fourth or fifth row that you're off. Like you would be quarter inch off everywhere. So I know for a fact this is really, really good quality rectified tile, and there's absolutely no lippage whatsoever. Like if this was on a floor, I could, well, I call it bucket test. So a little bit of water in the bottom of a bucket and you slide it across and it doesn't tip over. This would definitely pass the bucket test everywhere. No lippage whatsoever. Just outstanding job. Another thing I get into quite a bit, this isn't caulking, this is grout. Yeah, because it's coming off on my finger. I don't caulk my corners where the planes meet, and I go on that tirade almost every video that I do, where I talk about the caulking conundrum. So one, either the caulking, no matter if it's a latex or a silicone, is going to get nasty over time, you know, over a couple of years, and you're going to have to cut it out. And silicone is much more difficult to cut out than it would be with the latex. Having said that, a lot of homeowners don't know how to do, you know, a really good, nice line of caulking. So therefore, I don't advocate for caulking. There's no harm and no foul of doing no caulking whatsoever. None. So you have the smooth surface hitting a porous surface, which is the factory edge of your tile. And generally speaking, grout won't stick to that, as it hasn't here and a lot of places. But it's okay. Just because you don't have any grout in some of these spaces doesn't mean you're going to have a leak back there. That being said, if grout does come out, you can re-grout. You can see where they've re-grouted here, and there's no separation on this particular shower at all. There's no gap or anything like that. So it's just overkill, and it's just causing a future issue, problem with re-grouting over and over and over. And there's no re-caulking. And there's no reason to caulk down here either. Arguably, this would be more important to caulk if they didn't waterproof the shower pan. But then again, like I said, if there's no problem, there's no solution. And there's never a problem on the edges on where the two planes meet. The only problem you're going to have possibly is some cracking going on of your grout, and that's at a point where you just regrout. You can caulk all day long if you want to, it just is kind of counterproductive. Getting on to the shower, they did a really good circle cut here. I can tell on the edge. Oh, they did a large circle cut, which is okay. They, just barely made that disappear, which is okay. You know, not gonna get them on too bad about that. So probably the same here. This plate, which is kind of cool for me, but not for them, doesn't have any type of foam backer back here, which most plates do. So a lot of times I'll go on a job and it's like, aren't you gonna do some silicone or something around here? I'm like, why? Well, because water could get back there. No, water's not gonna get back there. There's usually a foam pad on the back of these escutcheon plates, and when you press down on the plate, which usually has some type of locking device, a ring or something, it pushes up against your tile and you're good to go. And in this case, they don't have any kind of locking device, which is why I can remove it. And then I can get in here and I can see they did a good circle cut. This is just a discoloration of the tile. Oh, no, it's a reflection. Well, I think it's both. Anyway, good circle cut here, good circle cut down there. And that's all I have to say about that. This is a diverter, so this diverts 3 ways. We have a rainforest head up here, which are absolutely useless. If anybody, if anybody ever took a shower with a rainforest head, it's literally like just going out when it's raining. You're not going to get up under your arms and legs and all these other places that you have to get water to. Strangely enough, the third device is this tub spout. And you're like, why would they put a tub spout in a shower? Couple of things. One, I see this frequently in Jamaica. And it's usually because they have a Roman type tub where they have a couple of cinder block coming up about that height. And so they'll use this to fill up the rest of the shower as if it were a bathtub, and either wash clothes or wash their pets or whatever, but it's rarely used as a bathtub. It's just 2 cinder blocks high. So that's the reason they have this. So they have just, you know, like a JPM that's better than their shower coming out of here. Why they have it in here without it being a Roman type of tub, I don't know. All I can guess is for cleanliness, if you understand what I'm talking about. That would be for cleanliness specifically, because there's no other reason to have it in here, and I'm sure every room in this hotel has that. So yes, you have this, this, and this, and your diverter controls the 3 of them. So that's all I have to say about this. You know, it's nicely done 20 years ago. It's a little rough around the edges now. This is a plastic type Schluter, a wraparound Schluter, if you will. So yeah, it's finished out nicely. And I'm just impressed by these lines. I still, like, literally, the space on these lines is just incredibly small. I would be freaked out about doing this tile that close together. Another thing that happens too, when you do tile, if you can't ever manage to get it that close together, what happens is expansion and contraction of tile when it gets cold and hot. And that continuum that happens, you know, every day, will cause the edge. You'll have little chips on one or both of the tile, and just random. So those chips kind of are inevitable, and there's no chipping here whatsoever, which means there's not a whole lot of expansion and contraction going on because these lines are just so close. It's just incredible. I wish you could see that better. I barely can get a fingernail in here. That's how close that is. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. That's all I'm going to say about the shower. Getting back to this thing. In Asia, Southeast Asia particularly, what I see almost all the time in a hotel is a bidet. And if they don't have a bidet, then they're going to have a sprayer that's attached to the toilet. And some of them, some of the higher end ones will actually have a heater or warmer, if you will, or it'll be hooked up to a hot water line or a mixer of some sort. That's very, very typical in Southeast Asia, is to have this sprayer. So that's not unusual, but it would be for America. The external drain. So just a little bit of discussion on that. Anytime, in a lot of municipalities, anytime you have a curbless shower, you're supposed to have an external drain. And almost never do we have one. And it doesn't have to be there, although arguably it could also facilitate a flooded toilet because it's so close to the toilet. But generally speaking, it's going to be close to the toilet because I think they tie in to the toilet rather than the shower. So the external drain could be over here, it could be where it's at now, it could be somewhere close to here or even over here. But the external drain would be if there's a backup, and in this case, because the opposite curb is so tiny, it's probably 3/4 to an inch, it would not be a bad idea in a commercial type of setting because a lot of people aren't going to call maintenance, and then you have the flood out, and then where's the water go? Well, in this case, I can kind of tell the floor is slightly sloped to that direction, so it would go down that drain. So enough about that. Anyway, yeah, just wanted to kind of show this off and, you know, let people on my side of the world see the other side of the world without coming here. But just, you know, it's a solid, I'm going to give it a 9.5 as far as the work, the skill and all that stuff. You know, and as I said before, just this tile so close together just amazes me. I wish, oh, here's the chipping. Is that chipping? There's a little bit of chipping on this tile that I was talking about earlier when you have it that close together. I think there's a little bit more on the floor, although there should be a reason why, because the floor is not that tight. But this isn't rectified either. This has a slight, yeah, rounded edge on this tile. But yeah, that's enough. I don't know why all tile guys, you know, feel the need to critique everywhere we go. I don't care if it's a restaurant, if it's a bathroom, it's a hotel. We just always look at other people's work, and we look at the lines that are lined up with the tile and all that stuff and how well they did. By the way, they did a really good job. Look at that. That line matches up perfectly, and then the next line with that tile matches up perfectly. So, and that one too. So they did a great job at doing that too. Yeah, it's a solid 8.5 to 9. There are some things small things, like I don't like this bottom row tile being, you know, 3 or 4 inches. But then again, we have the top that's a full tile, so you have to kind of pick your poison. Is that going to be on the top or is it going to be on the bottom? And they chose the bottom, but that's it. Anyway, I'm out. Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're gonna call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post a video. And thank you very much for your support.